You ever told the truth and everything just blew up? I thought honesty was always the right choice. No second guessing, no sugarcoating, just facts. But one conversation, one simple answer, and suddenly, everything changed. Friends turned against each other. Messages flooded my phone and my past. It came crashing back when I least expected it. Now, I'm stuck wondering, did I do the right thing? Or did I make everything worse? Was I the bad guy for telling the truth? You tell me. I've always believed in honesty. No matter the situation, I tell the truth. It's just how I am. Some people might see it as blunt or unnecessary, but I see it as the right thing to do. If something happens, why sugarcoat it? Why twist the facts? That's never been my style. A few years ago, I went through a rough breakup with my ex, Mariana. We were together for a while, but things ended badly. Because of her, not me. Even after all this time, we still follow each other on social media, though we don't really talk. The only platform where we actually removed each other was WhatsApp. I never really understood why she kept me around on everything else, but I didn't care enough to ask. I figured she wanted to keep tabs on me, and that was her problem, not mine. Life moved on. I never felt the need to bring her up in conversations, and no one really asked about her. That is, until recently. Out of nowhere, two of my friends, Gustavo and Enrique, hit me with the question, "Hey, why did you and Mariana break up?" It caught me off guard. Gustavo is 25, a bit older and more mature, while Enrique is only 15, still in that stage of seeing everything in black and white. They both knew Mariana back in the day, but I had no idea why they were suddenly curious now. I shrugged. "She cheated on me," I said simply, "and she was never really honest about anything." I didn't add anything extra, didn't exaggerate, didn't dramatize, just the plain, simple truth. Gustavo just nodded, taking it in like it was just another fact of life. But Enrique? His face changed instantly. He looked angry, and from that moment, things started spiraling in a way I hadn't expected. Enrique's reaction was immediate. His expression hardened, and he let out a frustrated sigh, shaking his head. "That's messed up," he muttered. I wasn't really sure what to say. To me, it was old news, something I had already processed and moved on from. But Enrique was clearly taking it personally, as if Mariana's betrayal had somehow affected him too. Gustavo, on the other hand, remained calm. "That's life, man," Gustavo said with a small shrug. "People screw up. You did the right thing moving on." I nodded in agreement. Yeah, no point in dwelling on it. But Enrique wasn't letting it go that easily. "So she just, what? Acted like nothing happened?" he asked, his voice laced with disgust. "Pretty much," I admitted. "She never really took responsibility for it. And now, years later, she's still around on my socials like we're cool or something." Enrique scoffed. "That's insane. She doesn't deserve that." I didn't think much of his reaction at the time. I figured he was just venting, expressing his frustration in a way that teenagers tend to do. But I didn't realize that, in his mind, this wasn't just a casual conversation. To him, this was something that needed to be addressed. Gustavo, sensing the shift in tone, changed the subject after that, steering the conversation toward something else. I didn't know it at the time, but Enrique wasn't done with this situation, far from it. And soon, Mariana was going to find out exactly how he felt. A few days passed, and I didn't give the conversation much thought. It was just a passing moment between friends, nothing more. At least, that's what I assumed. But then I noticed something strange. Mariana had stopped interacting with certain people online. At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe she was just busy. But then Gustavo messaged me. "Dude, Enrique went off on Mariana." I frowned. "What do you mean?" "He straight up blocked her everywhere, and before that he told her he wanted nothing to do with trash like her." I blinked. "Wait, what?" Gustavo sighed. "Yeah, man. He found out what she did to you and completely flipped. He's young, you know, still sees things in extremes, and now Mariana's pissed." I let out a low chuckle, shaking my head. "That's a lot." "I told him he overreacted," Gustavo continued. "Like, yeah, she messed up, but that was years ago. He barely even knew her back then. But you know how he is." I did. Enrique had a strong sense of loyalty, sometimes to a fault. If he felt someone had wronged someone he cared about, there was no middle ground. just black and white, right and wrong. Still, I didn't think much of it. It wasn't my problem. Henrique made his own choices. If he wanted to cut Mariana off, that was on him. But then, later that night, my phone buzzed. A message from Mariana, and I already knew it wasn't going to be pleasant. I opened the message, and as expected, Mariana was furious. "What the hell did you tell Henrique?" she wrote. I raised an eyebrow. No greeting, no build-up, just straight to the accusation. Classic. I typed back, keeping it simple. He asked why we broke up, so I told him the truth. Her response came almost instantly. "Are you serious? You had no right to tell him that." I exhaled sharply, already feeling my patience thinning. Why wouldn't I? It happened. It's the truth. Her anger practically bled through the screen. "Some things aren't meant to be shared. Do you not understand that? You should have kept it to yourself." I rolled my eyes. "Why? To protect you? Not my problem." There was a long pause before she replied again, and when she did, her message was laced with frustration. "You're so selfish. Do you ever think about how your actions affect other people?" That one actually made me laugh. The irony of her, of all people, saying that. Right, because I'm the one who did something wrong here. Another pause. Then, "You know what? Screw you. You're a piece of shit." And that was when I decided I was done. I typed out a final message, short and to the point. "Go fuck yourself." Then I closed the chat, put my phone down, and picked up my controller. Let her be mad. I had games to play. As soon as I closed that chat, I felt an odd sense of relief. It wasn't like I had been holding on to any emotions about Mariana, but finally telling her off, that felt good, like I had put the last nail in a coffin that should have been sealed years ago. I leaned back, controller in hand, ready to lose myself in my game. But then another message popped up, this time from Gustavo. "Bro, what did you say to Mariana?" I sighed. "Seriously? I hadn't even been off my phone for 5 minutes." "What now?" I replied. Gustavo sent a laughing emoji. "She just messaged me, fuming about how much she hates you. She's pissed you didn't protect her image." I scoffed. "Why would I? I told the truth. That's on her." Gustavo took a second to respond. "Yeah, that's what I said. She's just mad she got exposed." Exactly. That was the whole issue here. It wasn't about me telling the truth. It was about her not wanting to deal with the consequences of it. "Whatever," I typed. "She'll get over it." And with that, I finally tuned out of the drama, refocusing on my game. Let Mariana be mad. Let her vent to whoever would listen. At the end of the day, I knew one thing for sure. I hadn't lied, and I didn't regret a thing. For the next few days, things were quiet. Mariana didn't message me again, and I figured she had finally let it go. But then Gustavo hit me up with something unexpected. "Dude, she's still talking about you," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Still?" "Yeah. She told me she hates that you never lie, that you're too honest." That made me pause. "What?" "She said she knows she messed up, but she wishes you hadn't told anyone. She doesn't want to be the only one carrying the guilt." I let out a short laugh. Now it made sense. Mariana wasn't mad because I told the truth. She was mad because my honesty forced her to face it again. She had spent years pretending it didn't happen, probably rewriting the story in her own head. And now, suddenly, the past was back, and she had no way to run from it. "She doesn't hate my honesty," I said. "She hates what it means for her." Gustavo sighed. "Yeah, pretty much. She just didn't want to be the bad guy." I shook my head. It was actually kind of funny. If she had just admitted her mistake back then, maybe things wouldn't have played out like this. But instead, she let it fester, and now, years later, it had come back to bite her. Not my problem. I wasn't the one who cheated. I wasn't the one who lied. And I sure as hell wasn't the one who owed her anything. After hearing all that from Gustavo, I couldn't help but feel validated. Mariana wasn't angry because I lied. She was angry because I didn't. But then, Gustavo hit me with something else. "Honestly, man," he said, "I don't think you were wrong, but maybe you could have kept it to yourself." I frowned. "Why?" He shrugged. "I get it. You were just answering a question. But sometimes, even when something is true, it doesn't mean you have to say it. That made me pause. I had never really thought about it that way. To me, honesty was always the best policy. If someone asked me something, I answered. Simple as that. But it's not like I went around telling people for no reason, I argued. Henrique and you asked. I didn't randomly bring it up. I know, Gustavo admitted. That's why I don't think you're the bad guy here. But look what happened. Henrique took it way too far. Mariana freaked out, and now there's all this drama. I sighed, rubbing the back of my neck. He wasn't wrong. Henrique had overreacted. I never told him to cut Mariana off or insult her. That was all him. But if I hadn't said anything in the first place, maybe none of this would have happened. Still, was it really on me to protect her secret? She was the one who cheated. She was the one who lied. And now, somehow, I was supposed to be the one who stayed quiet about it. Gustavo could tell I was deep in thought. Look, I'm not saying you were wrong, he said. Just that, maybe, next time, you think about whether the truth actually needs to be said. I didn't reply right away. Because for the first time, I wasn't sure if I completely disagreed. Later that night, I found myself replaying the conversation with Gustavo. His words stuck with me more than I expected. Just because something is true doesn't mean you have to say it. Had I really done something wrong? I had never considered myself the kind of person who stirred up drama. If anything, I avoided it. But looking back, I had to admit, my honesty had set off a chain reaction. Henrique wouldn't have cut Mariana off if I hadn't told him what happened. She wouldn't have messaged me, furious if he hadn't reacted the way he did. And Gustavo wouldn't have needed to mediate if none of this had happened in the first place. I wasn't responsible for Mariana's choices, but was I responsible for the fallout? I shook my head. No, that didn't sit right with me. The way I saw it, if someone asked me a question, they deserved the truth. And if the truth made Mariana uncomfortable, then that was her problem, not mine. If she didn't want people to know, she shouldn't have done it in the first place. Still, I couldn't shake the thought that maybe there was more to honesty than just saying what happened. Maybe Gustavo had a point. Maybe there were times when keeping quiet wasn't about lying, it was just about letting things stay in the past. I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But for the first time, I was questioning if my honesty really had been the right call. A few days passed, and the whole situation slowly died down. Henrique didn't mention Mariana again, and she stopped trying to message Gustavo about me. It seemed like she had finally decided to move on, or at least to stop making a fuss about it. But the whole thing still lingered in my mind, not because I felt guilty, but because I wasn't sure what to take away from it. Had I been wrong to be honest? On one hand, I stood by my choice. I didn't spread rumors. I didn't add unnecessary details. I simply answered a question truthfully. And if that truth made Mariana look bad, well, that wasn't my fault. On the other hand, I could see what Gustavo meant. My honesty had consequences. Did that mean I should have lied? No. But should I have just avoided answering altogether? Maybe. It was a weird realization for me. I had always thought honesty was black and white. Either you told the truth or you didn't. But now I was starting to see that maybe there was a gray area. Maybe when and how you tell the truth matters just as much as the truth itself. Still, I didn't regret what I said. Mariana was mad, but she wasn't my responsibility. Henrique took things too far, but that was his choice. In the end, all I did was tell the truth. But now I have to ask, was I wrong for that? Should I have kept my mouth shut, even if it meant protecting someone who didn't deserve it? What do you think? At the end of the day, I know one thing for sure. I didn't lie. I didn't twist the story or try to make Mariana look worse than she already did. I just told my friends what happened when they asked. But after everything that followed, I can't help but wonder, was it worth it? If I had just shrugged it off or given a vague answer, none of this would have happened. Henrique wouldn't have gone off on Mariana, she wouldn't have come after me, and Gustavo wouldn't have had to be the middleman. Things would have stayed quiet. But then again, why should I have to hide the truth? If someone does something messed up, isn't it fair that people know? Should I really be expected to protect someone who didn't protect me? I still don't think I was wrong, but I can admit that maybe my honesty had more impact than I expected. And maybe that's something I need to think about moving forward. So now I leave the question to you. Was I in the wrong for telling the truth? Should I have kept quiet for the sake of avoiding drama? Or was I right to be honest, no matter what happened afterward? Let me know what you think.